Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inner Podcast, where you get to embrace your inner nerd. I'm one of the hosts, Brandon.
And I'm your host, Aaron.
Wow, good job. Okay, podcast over. Bye. Okay, just kidding. Welcome back, everyone. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm okay. It's a little earlier than we normally record, so I'm a little tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, same. My brain's still booting up a little bit. I got me coffee though. It's what is it? It's like the extra caffeinated coffee.
The skull and bones.
It's the one with the skull and the two lightning bolts.
Yeah,
something like that. It's all right. It's been a while since we've had It's been a while since we've had an episode come out. The last one that we did have come out was Aaron's solo episode, which we did not have a conversation on, by the way.
We were all busy, and I found some free time before our normal release scheduled day, and I figured I could scrounge up a couple things that I could talk about alone. Mm-hmm. And spit out a 45-minute episode or whatever. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, totally understand. I'm just going to make a note real quick that the last time you did a solo episode, and then around that time, you posted the first solo episode, and we were trying to figure out the next episode, and we couldn't figure it out, and I was like, oh, well, I have some topics, but you don't really care about them. What if I just did like a solo episode, and, I have time, and I could record, and you're like, why? What's the point?
The difference...
Why do that? And then you go ahead and do another solo episode by yourself?
The difference is because we're not discussing episodes, and I'm finding like these little free spots between the two of us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can just do it really quick. But if we're sitting there discussing an episode, we could figure out an episode to do together.
But we couldn't. At that time, we could not figure one out. And I was like, I have some topics that I think are interesting, because both times you did a solo episode, you talked about the Oscars, which I have no opinions on.
Right.
I had like 3 or 4 topics to talk about that I was interested in, and I knew you weren't interested in. And then you're like, but why? But why?
Okay.
But anyways, in regards to your solo episode, you talked about the Oscars. You talked about Marathon.
Yes.
Was there something else?
I think it was pretty much just those two.
There was probably like smaller things, but
yeah.
For the most part, it was Marathon and Oscars.
Yeah, because I even made it a note about the Oscars that not only did I have some opinions about, some of the movies that I have watched that were nominated, but I felt like it was kind of fitting, seeing that it's been a year since I did the solo episode. So I figured I'd talk about what I could,
right,
in regards to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And then I rambled a little bit about Marathon because I had previously tried to do a stream about Marathon. Mm-hmm. And I ended up abandoning ship on that.
Right.
About halfway through the stream. But it's okay. Now I plan on just doing a video similar to my Chronos, the New Dawn episode, but about Marathon. And I'll be talking about lore, my experience with it, both alpha, beta, server slam, and then now.
Right.
And because there's a lot of different opinions going out there right now. I will have a small little segment about how I'm kind of going after the haters of the game, because
it's a little unnecessary.
There is a specific realm in that category, that things that they keep bringing up that are purely based off of things that rather happened and are dealt with already, or clearly they've never even played the game or whatever, because they have specific opinions that I was like, that does not match with the actual game at all.
It's kind of like when you're having an argument with someone who they want so desperately to be right and to win the argument that they're just going to use the same thing over and over again, despite the fact if it has any relevance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and
that person's never played the game or
Right.
watched the movie or
Right.
anything like that.
Every single time that, because I've, especially with how much I've exposed myself to Marathon, I've played it a little bit, but, as soon as you dab into one thing, just a slight bit, social media will flood your feed with all of it. But I've seen a lot of, back and forth on people saying like Marathon is surprisingly amazing. And then some people are like, Marathon is, terrible for X, Y, and Z, while they'll have like no arguments. And then everyone brings up the art thing. And it's like,
Right.
Come on, guys.
Which I plan on bringing up in the video, but for like a quick note, people throw around a statistic or a fact about it that's not even a fact.
Right.
Like they say, oh, they stole the art style of this person. They didn't steal the art style. It's not an art style that person made.
Right.
All they did was there's assets in that person's work that were utilized in. And it wasn't Bungie that did it. It was a specific person in Bungie.
And if anything, it's no different than with like comic book artists, for example. A lot of comic book artists, when they talk about their beginning of like art in general, they always talk about who their influences were.
Right.
Therefore, the references that they used in order to like start their art. Like, who is that YouTuber years ago? I think he's still a YouTuber, but no one likes his videos anymore. ZHC?
Yeah, because he became essentially a
Mr. Beast
wannabe.
Yeah. Yeah. So he started off like, talking about how much he loved David Finch's art, and you could see his love for David Finch in his art.
Right.
And same thing for me. Like, I've used Todd McFarlane, Ryan Otley, Jim Lee. I've used a ton of references for my art.
And you follow a lot of those people too.
Right.
Right.
And I've developed my own art style, which sure could still use improving, but like I've found something that's like, this is me, this screams me.
Right. But you have to like,
when
when
you're
you're learning, you replicate technique so that you get like a physical feel for it.
And
then you build your own thing off
right.
of
And
it.
there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of artists will tell you that's completely okay because they did it themselves. This Marathon topic is no different. Especially when you have something like Unreal Engine and, certain game, or I'm not too versed in this, but like certain websites and programs that have specific assets that everyone is using.
Right. And I do want to say that the difference is that there was someone in the art department who had Anti-Real, that's the artist's name, had her assets and stuff, and without consent, put them into the game.
Right, that makes
sense. To
sense.
the point to where Anti-Real was in the game at some point, or watched footage, or played it, or what have you, and found her own assets. That is different.
Right.
And Bungie didn't catch that. And sure, some of the people in the art department and in the team were following Anti-Real, because when you have an art director who comes up with all these references and stuff, that's where they'll gravitate towards so that they all are on the same playing field.
Right.
But when you have someone in that team who slips by all of the QCing stuff and puts those assets in, that causes a problem.
Right.
But it's been resolved. They went in, they cleared all of that out, they replaced it with original assets, and they even paid out Anti-Real a bunch of money, to the point where she even posted being like, it's been covered, it's taken care of, I'm satisfied.
Right.
So that's over.
Yeah, and therefore, the argument no longer stands.
Right.
But that seems to be the one that people are still stuck on.
Right.
So, silly little gooses.
Yeah, anyway. And then for a majority of that episode, it was Oscars.
Right. Which I remember when I was listening to that episode, I did make notes. And I remember there was a few of them. But there again, that was how many weeks ago? And I was an idiot and didn't physically write down these notes. But what I do remember is that you brought up Sinners.
I know what you're going to say.
And that I did not like the movie.
That's not what I said. I Actually, I don't exactly know how I worded it, but all I
That's not what I said. But there's a chance that's what I said.
What I was getting at was that I could tell when we left the theaters that all three of us, you, me, and Blake, had a different experience with the movie.
Right.
Because while I was watching what I believe Ryan Coogler refers to as the cosmic montage, my jaw was like to the floor when we were watching that. But I know that when we got out, like the silence between all three of us, I was like, okay, there's something that rather threw Brandon off, or Blake didn't like catch on to this movie, or something like that. I mean, I have my own notes of the movie too, but.
Well, so first off, I'm going to throw this out there. I don't think it's a bad movie to any regards. I highly recommend it to plenty of people who I think would like the movie.
Right.
But my notes consist of one, when it came to that cosmic montage thing. Personally, I think that when you have a movie, especially with it's horror, because this movie was a horror movie. Horror.
Right.
It should maintain a certain vibe or like a
atmosphere.
Right. Like throughout the movie. And that cosmic montage pulled me out. I understand the message behind it, but although music had its place in the movie, I don't think it was that important to the plot of what's actually going on with this movie. And then I don't think that the guy who made this movie,
Ryan Coogler,
I don't think he's terrible, but I'm not as much of a fan of him as others, because the only projects that come to mind that he's done are Sinners, Ironheart, Black Panther 1 and 2, right?
And Creed. And Fruitvale Station.
Okay.
Which was his first feature film.
I haven't seen that one. And I haven't seen... I've seen Creed 1 and 2, but I haven't seen the third one.
The third one's directed by Michael B. Jordan, so...
Oh, okay. Well, anyways. From... At least when it comes to Sinners, because, you know, he's worked a lot in Marvel and he did Creed, but when it came to this movie... I don't know if he realizes it or if he just thinks it works. But there was some moments that kind of felt like Marvel formula to me. And those things took me out of it. Like you have a build up in a setting and the world and everything. You get introduced to these characters. And then you get a taste of what the horror is. And it's like, ooh, this is actually pretty creepy. And then you get this random montage that completely took me out of it. And then it comes back to the seriousness and all the horror stuff for a brief moment. And then you throw in some Marvel stuff, like the random jokes and the sense of humor that seems out of place. And just conversations that did not need to be had. And then back to the horror. And then an ending that felt easy.
I don't know about the easy part, but I would say where I agree with you is that, first off, I think the term horror is used very heavily with this movie.
Yeah.
Because going to see it, I wouldn't call it that. Maybe like a subgenre, but I think of it more of like a thriller or like not really a drama, but I'd say definitely action. But I feel like horror is more of like a subgenre of the movie, because you're right, like there was not enough of the entirety of the movie to call it a horror movie.
Right.
And I do disagree about the montage because I went into the movie knowing what kind of movie, for the most part, that it would be. But I'd say the only major note I have is, yeah, some of the comedic relief stuff can be a bit distracting, especially given the circumstance of the movie.
Right.
But I felt like they explained kind of the magic of the movie a little bit much, because they did it in the whole intro of the movie, like intro credits.
Right.
Is that. And I felt like I was fine. Like I was holding on to that going throughout the movie. And as they were introducing some magical elements of the movie, I got it. And then they kind of explain it again in bits and pieces throughout the movie.
Then they had that whole scene where they're in the circle and they're just explaining how vampires work.
Right. And so I was like, I feel
Or
like,
at least these vampires.
well, sure, like the characters in the movie, you have to understand, like maybe you have to make it believable that they all have to get on a consensus of what's going on. But I felt like it was happening so many times throughout different points of the movie to where I was like, I feel like you're not trusting us enough to understand the magic of the movie.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. Other than that, I loved the movie. Up and down.
I think for the most part, especially because you're right. I think the term or the label of horror is used heavily for this movie. But that's the main reason why I got thrown off in the first place, because the teaser that they originally showed, which was perfect, that's all I personally like for movie trailers.
Right.
Is just something easy and simple and doesn't give too much away. But that teaser, knowing it was horror, the setting, the actor, and the idea that they were vampires in this, because especially we had Nosferatu recently around that time of Sinners. It's like, okay, so we can have a movie where vampires are in it and it can be like serious and you can take the movie seriously and it doesn't have to be a joke.
Right.
So with all of that in mind, I was like, this movie is going to be sick. And I had an idea of I have an idea of what I think it should have been. And I know a lot of people can say that, like, oh, well, I wanted it to be this way. Or maybe some people thought that the way it came out was exactly how they anticipated it, which I don't know who would, but fine, whatever. But then when this version of the movie came out, but thinking that, like going in thinking that it was going to be horror and it was going to be dark and it was going to be all these things and a serious movie, those elements that we discussed all took me out, including what you're talking about like over explaining it. Like I understand Michael B. Jordan explained that he watches anime and that he uses a lot of influences of anime into his work. And I don't think he directed this movie, but I think he helped. No?
It was Ryan Coogler.
Okay, maybe I'm still just thinking of Creed. But maybe I was just thinking that maybe Ryan Coogler, I don't know.
Ryan Coogler wrote and directed this movie.
Okay, I don't
Michael
know
B.
why.
Jordan just played.
I don't know why I thought he had some influence in this movie, but it felt kind of like an anime, because in animes they do the same thing where they don't trust the audience enough to kind of like get the information themselves and just go from there. But yeah, so it's not a bad movie. I just don't think it's what everyone is hyping it up to be.
But I think this kind of loops back to a conversation that we've had amongst ourselves many times with both movies and video games, where I'll watch like a trailer to something after a teaser's already come out, and I'll be like, oh, did you see that trailer for this? And you're like, I don't like to watch the trailers because they give too much away, and I don't want anything to be spoiled for me.
Right.
But the problem is that you see a teaser, you get an idea of what the movie's like, and then you go to watch the movie and you're like, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
But if you watched at least...
I did watch the trailer for Sinners.
Well, I'm just saying in general. If you watch at least an official trailer and really like take it in, you should be able to go into the movie and be like, I get what they're going to be going for with this movie.
See, that's the thing, is I watched the trailer for Sinners and I was even more convinced that the movie that I thought it was going to be with the teaser was even more solidified with the trailer. So I still went in with even more confidence because I saw the trailer. I was like, you know what? Whatever. It's everywhere. Oh, actually, no. We went to go see a movie. I think it was maybe Nosferatu or something else. And the preview and the actual trailer came up for Sinners. And I had no choice but to watch it. I was not going to like plug my ears and close my eyes.
Right.
But I watched it and I was like, yes, this solidifies that this is going to be exactly what I wanted it to be. And then we watched the movie and I was like, that trailer was so misleading.
Well, the thing is I think that's also a good thing too, that the movie's not, you know, like sure, you should be able to go in understanding what kind of movie it is, but it's a good thing that like you went in and you got a completely new experience out of it.
Yeah, we have different opinions on that because that, to me, that means that the movie that I was excited for and got hyped up for with a trailer.
So you're just putting too many expectations on a movie.
No, but I mean, the whole point of promoting a movie is like, this is the movie. And like, if you're excited to go see this movie that we're presenting to you, it comes out on this date. It's not, oh, we're presenting you this movie that comes out on this date, but guess what? When you see the movie, it's not going to be what we promoted because we want to mess with you.
Well, I'm not saying that like Metal Gear Solid 2 this thing.
But that's kind of how it feels. It feels like it's damn near close to what Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman almost did with Deadpool 3.
That would have been really cool.
Because they're like, oh, well, what if we made these fake promotions and fake trailers for a movie that doesn't actually exist?
And then you go to watch it, it'd be...
That's what Sinners and a lot of other movies feel like. They're like, oh, we're promoting this like really badass thing and really dark and gritty, and then...
But that kind of just tells me that,
out,
like, when you watch a trailer to a movie, that you're throwing your own expectation of the movie, not understanding what the movie is selling you.
Okay, then call me an idiot because it's presenting to me exactly what, like, I don't know what else it could be portraying or presenting. Whatever. I think it's a good movie. I go ahead and watch Sinners. Maybe I'm wrong. Put in the comments and say Brandon's an idiot.
It's got like it just broke a record for the amount of Oscars it was nominated for. So.
Yeah, and I agree with maybe 2 of them.
Sorry. 2?
One, I don't even have a list in my head of all the things that I got nominated for.
Screenplay, direction, film of the year, lead actor, co-star.
Literally could have thought of any other movies that I think would have had a better chance with being nominated.
Well,
and
there's
one of them, Big Nosferatu.
Multiple movies get... Those are different years.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. Nosferatu got Oscars.
What?
It won an Oscar for...
Are you sure?
Set design or something like that.
What year did... Look it up. You have your little laptop-y thingy right there.
What year did Nosferatu come out?
Yeah.
December of 2024.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Shit.
And Sinners came out like a year ago. Like March, I think. March of 2025.
I mean, they're not that far apart, but I thought they were closer. Weird. Okay, never mind. Well, off with my head.
Yeah, very different years. Different movies got nominated.
Huh. Well, okay. Sinners was good. Go watch it. I don't know what I'm talking about, clearly.
Anywho,
coffee. Oh, speaking of things that have happened since in between episodes.
Oh, that's lovely.
Your video that came out. Why did I put the microphone? Your video that came out recently.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about it?
Sure. Yes, I wrote a screenplay that I'm trying to get the attention of James Gunn, because for anyone who's a comic book fan, for anyone who's a movie fan, for anyone who's a DC fan, I wrote a movie for the DCU. Not officially. But
It could be.
But it is intended for James Gunn's and Peter Safran's eyes to see. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it would be really complicated now that I came out with that video and all of this crazy merger stuff is going on. Mm-hmm. But regardless, if there's any chance at all that that video were to blow up and James Gunn were to see it, the intention is that, like, if you're a DC fan and you want to see a new DC movie, I can't say what the movie is. I made that very clear in the video. And imagine me trying to record a 20-plus minute video where I couldn't say the title of the comic book or what the movie is or blah, blah, blah. But it was a labor of love. It didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would to do.
The screenplay or the video?
The screenplay. And the video.
Screenplay took you a hot minute.
It took me from July to November. I've heard of screenplays that take longer than that.
Well, then that's a flaw in the industry. No, I'm just kidding.
But because I honestly thought that by the time I was done with the screenplay, a bunch of DC projects would have come out by then.
Yeah.
But no. The only thing that had come out was, because Peacemaker came out after Superman. So, Peacemaker.
And then promotions and trailers for Supergirl.
Yeah, and Lanterns.
No, that came out after.
Oh, yeah, it did. But yeah, so...
I didn't even think about that. That could be a topic for today.
It's going to be a topic for today.
Sick.
But yeah, so... If anyone is at least curious to go to my channel, watch the video, at least long enough to where it gets some kind of retention, like it, comment it, share it. I don't care about the subscribes. I just care about the engagement of the video itself.
Right. And whose eyeballs get on that video.
Right. Because believe it or not, shocker, when you're a nobody on YouTube, let alone in the film industry,
right,
when you're trying to make calls to people, your number, your voice, your name means diddly squat.
Right.
So video retention, attention, popularity, virality, whatever.
Yeah.
Get that video out there.
We just need James Gunn to see this video and that, or not this video, that video.
Yeah.
So everyone make sure to tag or shout out or contact James Gunn for that video. James Gunn. Just thought maybe throwing his name out. James Gunn a few times.
We might have to come back to
James Gunn.
We might have to come back to this at a later episode. But I did have an idea for a smaller video where I do disclose the idea of the screenplay,
right? But
I would only promote it here and for very specific people who made it throughout that entire innard episode.
Here as in this channel?
Yes.
Okay.
And the idea is that when I make that video, we'll talk about it here, and I'll have like a specific link that I would put in the description so that they could go to a private video and view it. In case that, for whatever reason, wanted them to go back to the other video and promote that one more. Or
right.
Whatever. But, yeah.
James Gunn.
I think what's just super exciting about it, and it's a good segue, is lanterns, is because seeing what they're pulling off with lanterns in a different tone compared to Superman and Supergirl.
Extremely different tone.
My movie works even more.
Right.
And speaking of lanterns, so DC used HBO Max's lanterns, not Green Lanterns, lanterns.
Right.
There was a point where on Threads, James Gunn was like, "Oh, there's going to be a teaser tomorrow," and then for whatever reason, YouTube or Warner Brothers was like, "No, we're going to post it right now." And a day early, they posted a trailer to Lanterns,
Right.
starring Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart. So, despite what people have been saying about this trailer, I'm actually really excited for this show.
I am too.
I do want to I want to get this out of the way right now.
Okay.
The suit.
Yeah.
People have been like, it's brown. The people have been saying, why is it like a physical suit that's on a hanger? I think there's probably a lot of reasons for it. I honestly couldn't give a shit right now because I remember when the first photo ever of Superman came out and it was him like on his chair pulling up a boot and there was like stuff going on in the background. I remember people looking at his suit and how damaged and dull it was. And they were like, that's just the Guardians of the Galaxy suit. What the hell? And now the movie came out and people are in love with Dave and Cornsweat's Superman.
Yeah.
I think it's just context. We're seeing one shot of the suit total. We don't have any context of why, how it's there, why it's there. And then the other thing I want to address, because I honestly think the suit is not as big as a deal as people are making it. The other thing that people are making a deal out of, and even Eris Quinones of Variant Comics, he made a video about Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan flying without a green aura around him.
Okay.
Hey guys, Eris Quinones, sorry, you make great content. It is nowhere in the comic books does it say canonically that he has to fly with a green aura around him. There's been plenty of comic books where Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and there's so many Jessicas. Jessica Cruz?
That's Marvel.
Jessica.
No, wait.
See? Anyways, that they're flying without green auras around them. The green aura appears around them when they're in space because it's a protective shield. It's not what's lifting them up to fly. As long as they're wearing the ring.
Okay, Jessica Cruz is DC. Who? Wait.
Yeah, because Spider-Woman.
Spider.
I don't know why I always forget Spider-Woman's name.
Okay, that's the part that always pissed me off about Jessica Cruz is because I'm 99.9% sure that their names are almost identical. Jessica Drew. Yeah. Yeah. That's a little too close.
Anyway.
But sorry.
That was pretty much it. People are just making that a big thing where he takes off without his suit on, without the green aura around him. And it's like, that's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing in the comic books. It's a thing in movies and animated shows. But nowhere does it say he has to have that aura around him to fly.
So, to go off of what you're saying, so these are things that have caught my attention. I haven't listened or heard of what other people have said. And despite the fact that I have seen Eris Quinones' videos on like TikTok and social media, I have not seen that video that he made. But okay, so that was something that crossed my mind. Because the only thing I've heard about people talking about the suit was the fact that it was brown. which is weird. But
Yeah.
okay, so I will say I do kind of agree with them for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I think I might understand why they went in the direction that they did with some of these details, like the suit, the aura, and whatever. Maybe for like the sake of like the mood of the show. Personally, I believe that there is a way that they could still do it without ruining the mood of the show.
Right.
But do I think it's really something to like complain about? No. Do I have like a personal gripe with it? Kind of.
I mean, preference.
Yeah,
is
I mean,
one thing.
I personally, I like, and I will say this a million times again and again. I like the closer to the source material as possible. I think you're right. I don't think they've ever stated that the green aura does anything. I think it's purely just for
it's a shield. It's when you go out into space.
Right.
Like the reason they can breathe is because they've got that shield around them.
I think I've always told myself that is what allows them to fly. Like it's them carrying themselves.
It's not.
Okay, well,
The ring, just wearing the ring gives you the ability of flight.
and with that being said, that scene that they did is completely fine. I think personally, in the future, if they could make it to where like in other medias, like where the Green Lantern shows up somewhere else, if he could. Oh, well, he didn't even have it in Superman.
Well, that's why. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I think that's just the in-universe thing. Like, that's kind of a universal style they're going with. Is that like when they're on Earth, or when they're planet side, and they don't need to shield themselves, they won't have the aura. But I'm sure as soon as they go out into space, which we haven't seen them do yet,
right?
We've seen a fictional enough, like comic booky style universe to where they'll go out into space and probably have a shield around them.
Probably.
Which will look fine too. I mean, could look fine.
And even if they did something just to like nod at it, where it's like as soon as they put the ring on, it goes over and you see the aura real quick and then it fades. Or if as soon as they go into space, the shield goes over and it fades. Right. Whatever.
It's just one of those things where it's not that big of a deal.
It's not. I think. But when it comes to the suit being created from the ring,
yeah,
that is something that I personally prefer more because it's always been in the books. There hasn't been, from my knowledge, there hasn't been a Green Lantern that like makes a suit externally or like puts on a suit, unless it was like Green Lanterns from like the Red Sun universe, but they don't count in this conversation. And they've always talked about how like Green Lanterns can not only customize their suits with like, you know, their imagination, but like each lantern has like a unique look that represents them and everything. And like, cause Hal Jordan always looked more like a superhero. Jon Stewart was a little more simplistic, and he believed, you know, he thinks like a soldier. He thinks less about design and more about like functionality,
right,
and stuff like that. But yeah, my biggest gripe is just probably the suit in general. I think they might have their reasons for it. I don't like them, but am I going to not watch the show because of this? Am I going to think that the show is like a 9 out of 10 because of this or anything? This show would probably be like one of the greatest things that have come out lately. I say 9 out of 10 because I think of it as like I dock a point. Anyways, but this is like a true detective style show from my understanding.
Right. So the whole inspiration of this show was that they were going to do like a, you know, buddy cop show in the style of True Detective. And a lot of the team and the people making this are from True Detective.
Right.
So these are people who are like, we know what kind of show we're making. We do understand what universe it takes place in. This is the trailer. This is the style that we're showing off to you. We're not going to make this show and do the trailer in the style of Superman or whatever. We're going to be like, we're making a True Detective-esque show with Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
And also, again, by the way, for people who rather keep up with it or don't or forgot, these two guys aren't the only lanterns in this show. They've already said that Guy Gardner is going to be in the show. They've already said that Sinestro is casted in this show.
Oh, sick.
So
I did not know
and there's
that.
already a theory going around that this passing of the torch story leads into the Parallax thing.
Awesome.
Which the original version of Parallax, not a giant cloud, is Hal Jordan.
Giant cloud?
The 2011 movie.
He wasn't a giant cloud.
Brandon. He flooded New York with a cloud. Like a big brown cloud.
That was all mass.
Okay, but whatever.
I thought you were mixing it up with Fantastic Four's Galactus for a second. I was like,
Oh, no.
that was a big cloud.
Well, yeah. But
Either way, these all sound like things that people should be focused and excited for.
and there's even a little glimpse that where Hal Jordan is like standing in the middle of a street and like all of the buildings around him are destroyed. Mm-hmm. So there's gonna be big space stuff.
Right.
But to sell you on the fact that this is like a detective story, because that's what it is. It's Hal Jordan and oh my God, Jon Stewart investigating like an intergalactic crime.
Right.
That's why they're there.
Yeah.
And they just have to go a little incognito so that they don't stand out.
Right.
And also it's a passing of the torch. So Jon Stewart seems like he doesn't even have a ring yet at this point.
I think they're sharing one.
Yeah, like he's probably going to get Hal Jordan's ring.
Which is how it happened in the comics. Because when Jon Stewart was introduced, Hal Jordan was in a fight. And then Jon Stewart took his ring off and then put it on himself. And then he became the Green Lantern.
Very similar to how Hal Jordan became Green Lantern.
Right.
Right.
So I'm hearing all great things
Yeah.
about the show. And again, like despite my opinions on the suit, it is not going to debunk my opinions. And obviously I can't say anything until the show actually comes out. But just from what I've seen, and this kind of goes back to the whole teaser and trailer conversation, it looks awesome.
Casting's great.
Phenomenal.
Set dressing's great.
So, I did hear someone bitch about... Sorry, I think we had a conversation about cussing, but this is necessary. Someone complained about the fact that Hal Jordan was too old. Homies, first off, despite them wanting to be closer to the source material when it comes to all DC related stuff, fine. But like you're making a story that's like, no, we're trying to make Jon Stewart the focus. Right. Hal Jordan will like
Jon Stewart will be the Green Lantern.
What I'm assuming is after this project, Hal Jordan will no longer be a part of the situation,
or he'll just be more like sidestepped as
right.
Like
so them going with an older Hal Jordan makes more sense.
And I don't know why they would be complaining that much anyways, because Kyle Chandler, despite how great he looks, you know how old he is?
Probably older than he looks.
He's 60.
Oh.
He does not look like he's 60.
No, he doesn't look 60. For some reason, I don't know why, my brain was like, are you going to say like an extremely high number? But no, yeah, he looks great for his age.
He looks like he's in his maybe late 40s.
And, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at like photo comparisons. There is the slight chance that they could have even aged him up with like makeup and stuff just to show like a gap in between Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I could be wrong on that.
I don't know. I think it's just his hair. I think they just grade his hair.
But like that's kind of the point. They're like, we want to show that like Hal Jordan had his time in the spotlight. Now it's Jon Stewart. That's the focus.
But we can also see that like they're writing the characters as they need to be.
Right.
Because they're almost like a Maverick and why am I blanking on his name? Griggs? From Lethal Weapon, but they're like swapped. Mm-hmm. So instead, Maverick is the older, aged character.
Crazy guy. Wow.
Yeah, and Griggs is the young, very stoic, I know how to protect people kind of thing.
Yeah. And you see it too, like Jon Stewart, he's thinking very by the book, and he's like, isn't what the Green Lanterns are all about, like law and structure? And then Hal Jordan's kind of like
the nutcase.
Yeah, he's kind of like, oh, well, you'll learn for yourself that this job requires a lot more. And then he like puts the ring on the dashboard and jumps out of the car.
Right.
Fucking crazy. No, yeah, I think Lanterns is gonna be great. I didn't know that Sinestro was casted. I didn't know Guy Gardner was gonna be in the show. Speaking of which, now that we're on the topics of Green Lantern,
do you want
suits,
to know who Sinestro is?
Yeah, I really do, because I know who people have been fan casting Sinestro for the longest time.
While I find it, continue.
I did see Eris Keonis' video on his opinion on the Guy Gardner look, which, because a lot of people, I think a video came out where someone did like a Photoshop thing of Guy Gardner in the Superman movie, where they made his bangs a little bit more orange or like ginger.
Ulrich Thompson is playing Sinestro. You might recognize him from the first Hitman movie. I'll put a picture of him up for viewers.
That's okay. Cool.
Great casting for Sinestro.
Yeah. I swear, if people are gonna complain about his age too, because like he's not like superhero age, I guess.
But the age thing is like you're a lantern. You're flying up in the air and you're pointing your fist. Like, chill.
I do think that
you have to be in a decent shape, sure.
Right.
But
knowing like Sinestro was part of Hal Jordan's time, so there is a chance that they're going to be similar ages. Yeah. Again, he is an alien, so he might age differently, but still. No, but back to what I was talking about. Eris Keonis did a video where he saw like someone did a Photoshop thing of Guy Gardner in the Superman movie of what he should have looked like compared to how he did look. And I know that there's a reason for like the suit and everything.
Yeah,
like
the Maxwell Lord.
Right. They came up with this whole like beginner Justice League thing, and they all have matching uniforms. But someone did a Photoshop of him wearing like the traditional Guy Gardner suit, and he had like his bangs were a little bit more vibrant. Like just the color popped a little more and looked less gray. And I won't disagree. He looked way better. And that's just something I'm kind of hoping for. I know that Guy Gardner, like especially with his character and everything, which by the way, Nathan Fillion. Yeah, I'm terrible with names. He did a phenomenal Guy Gardner. And I know like he came up with all these reasons on why he thinks he was better fit for Guy Gardner. He
better live action Guy Gardner.
Right. Like voice Hal Jordan, perfect.
Right.
Live action Guy Gardner, also perfect.
Yeah.
I think his performance was flawless when it came to that. I do hope that somewhere in the future, hopefully near future, I hope that there is a time when he kind of just like has no choice or just reverts back to the traditional like double-breasted vest and the big collar, the slim black sleeves, and the classic. I don't even know what those gloves are called, but they look
right.
Despite my opinions of Guy Gardner, his suit has always been so cool. It's very like corny as far as like superhero suits go, but like I like that corny stuff. And there again, I've also had my opinions on Superman's suit, which still stands till this day. But I like the corny, old-fashioned underwear and dorky-looking superhero suits. I think they work really well.
Yeah. Especially
depending on who's wearing them. And I think David Cornsweet would have looked perfect. Absolutely perfect in the traditional skin-tight red and blue exposed collar and just big ass Superman symbol.
I mean, I think there's always potential that we could get a suit like that later
I hope so. I really, really, really hope so, because it would look great.
And especially, I would say, because I think it's pretty clear, like the origin and the understanding of the suit that him and Kara have.
Yeah.
But I could see, especially seeing the age of Superman's parents in this universe, I could see a world where there's something goes wrong with that suit, and his mom's like, "Oh, I can whip something up for you."
Or she like maybe brought him during his like Superboy era, if that's even a thing in this universe.
Right.
If
Well,
she-
he was only Superman for like publicly for like 3 years. So
but there's a chance that like they could work in like technically he was Superman to the public for 3 years, but he was Superboy in Smallville for a short period of time. Either way, if she was just like, "Well, I have your old suit," and he's like, "Mom, I'm not even sure that'll fit anymore," and she goes, "It'll make your muscles pop a lot more."
Yeah, and especially seeing like what superheroes in media looked like in their time,
Right.
Like when she puts up a costume for him,
That would look
it could be like
so
more
good.
neck exposed and
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, I think that would look so good. And even if they were to, she would be like, "I don't like the chew. She's like, "I want something more swirly," and then she makes like the classic Superman symbol. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I know that the new symbol is kind of like James Gunn's thing, and it's more unique and it looks better with the suit.
Sort of, but it's more reminiscent to Kingdom Come.
Yeah, but I've never been a fan of that. It doesn't, to me, that doesn't scream Superman.
Okay.
Henry Cavill's did scream Superman, by the way. I like the classic S. I want it to look like an S. To me, that doesn't look like an S. That just looks like a triangle with a line through it.
Okay.
Anyways, but back to Green Lanterns. I think this show's going to be great.
Lanterns.
Whatever.
I did see an interview that I didn't really care for, and maybe it was just a context thing, but the showrunner of Lanterns, they were like, "Oh, why is it Lanterns and not Green Lanterns?" And he said, "I thought green in front of it looked stupid." And I don't know if he was just trying to be funny or cheeky or whatever, because that's all the clip, like if you just look it up, really shows.
Right.
But I would assume that it really just has to do with the fact that like maybe it's not about Green Lanterns and it's about just lanterns in general. Or maybe I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I do too. I don't the whole green being in front of Green Lanterns. I don't think that's a big deal. Do I mind it just saying lanterns? No, I think it kind of simplifies it. What I do like though is that if you were to just call it lanterns, I'm not saying this is what they're doing. There's no proof anywhere, but it would give them opportunity to be like, well, who says the show's just about Green Lanterns?
Right.
It could be about yellow lanterns, red lanterns, blue lanterns, any lanterns.
Yeah.
So we wanted to throw out a title that gave the opportunity for multiple lanterns to be referenced or acknowledged in this show.
Right.
That would be sick, by the way. Even if it was like rather a cameo or just like acknowledgement of like other lanterns. Like if there was what's her name? I'm so bad with names. She's the girl that Hal Jordan was in love with, and then she was evil for like the longest time, but now in current comic books she's a hero, but she's like a pink lantern.
Indigo.
Yeah.
For the sake of me not saying it a bunch of times, I will put a couple tiles up if you're watching the visual version, but whenever we're talking about indigo or pink or whatever, pink is Star Sapphire. Indigo or violet is actually the purple one Brandon was referring to. We go back and forth about this a lot. Pink, Star Sapphire, that's the one we're referring to. There is a different one that is like
Ultraviolet.
whatever. I don't know why it matters so much.
Right.
If she made an appearance in the show and then they like, he was like, "Oh, you used to be a lantern." She's like, "Who says I'm not still a lantern?" Or something like that. Because I don't think they wear rings, right? I think they have like maybe I'm thinking of something else. Doesn't she?
I know the purple one. The not the violet, the original purple one. The hippie.
You're thinking ultraviolet.
Oh, Right.
But the original Purple Lantern,
yeah, they're like hippies and they wear like
had staffs.
bandanas or something. Oh yeah.
yeah, no, John Stewart, he was a Purple Lantern for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
He was both purple and ultraviolet. Mm-hmm. But no, when he was a Purple Lantern, he had a bandana on.
Right.
And he had like his old like marine coat and everything on and everything. But yeah, they have staffs.
Right.
But if I'm right, I'm like 90% sure that the Pink Lantern, or at least she had like a crystal in her stomach. Am I wrong? I feel like that's a thing.
There's only a handful of the lanterns that outside of the Green Lanterns that I really pay attention to. Most of them have rings, so.
Oh no, she just has a star on her belly button, where like on the outfit during the time when she was like overly sexualized.
Gotcha.
And like her whole torso was exposed. I think they had a reason for that, but she has an updated look now, which obviously is way better.
Right.
And then John Stewart also apparently was a Pink Lantern. Man, these guys really like
move around.
Yeah. They really make their way around. Oh. So moving on.
Okay.
Did you have a topic?
I have a few.
Well, there's just one that I wanted to just shoot out real quick. I don't know if you care for it. I don't think you do.
Okay.
We'll see. So I've been following a lot when it comes to the Absolute Universe and like the KO event for like DC and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say anything on DC. The ending was kind of crazy, and then they did have a plot twist that was kind of nuts. The Variant Comics channel covered the whole KO event. You guys should definitely check that out. It was nuts. Mm-hmm. I would say one of the most interesting crisis events that they've had in a while. But technically, based on the plot twist, it's not over, which is nuts. But when it comes to the Absolute Universe, they've been really honing in on, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, especially Batman.
Right.
I think I showed you the picture that they showed of the upcoming Superman story of Parasite.
Yes.
I've seen more panels on it, and it's haunting.
Okay.
I love it. Wonder Woman probably has like the most like superhero style writing going on. Like the villains that are being introduced, the fights that she's involved in. Like, they feel very superhero-like.
Okay.
Despite the situation. But they've announced a new Absolute variant, which is the Green Arrow one.
Yeah. They're kind of going like a slasher.
So they introduced Oliver Queen already.
Right.
And spoilers, if you don't want to hear, skip ahead. This Oliver Queen looked like he was already preparing to be like a vigilante with like a green suit and a green arrow and everything. He didn't officially call himself anything, but instead of like being deserted on an island or anything, he just genuinely wanted to make the world a better place. And he thought that in order to start in such a corrupt city, he needed to start with crime fighting and then work his way up to something better, despite the fact that he was already a millionaire. Anyways, but he like immediately, like his first patrol, it doesn't show the patrol, but as soon as he leaves, he gets killed by the Absolute Hawkman.
Right.
Like demolished to the point where his head is like a piece of paper, essentially. So they showed that Oliver Queen is dead. But then just recently they announced an Absolute Green Arrow. So a lot of people are kind of back and forth on who Green Arrow is, because he is a vigilante and he is going after criminals, but he's specifically going out for rich people. He kills rich people. They're kind of calling him like a Robin Hood-esque thing. But no one knows who he is, and no one knows why he is. No one knows if he's a human. Someone came out with the theory that based on his look, some people think that he's also the Absolute Spectre. Like he's like an agent of vengeance kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's potential he is still Oliver Queen. Some people think that he's John Harper. Some people, they go back and forth on many people that he could be. Some people don't even think he has an identity. They think he's just like a manifestation.
I had a very different theory.
What's that?
Purely based on his mask.
Okay.
I thought what they were going to do is that not only is this character the absolute version of Green Arrow, but it was the absolute version of the Phantasm. Because I thought that maybe they'll do like it's Black Canary or something along those lines, masking as, Green Arrow or this version of Green Arrow, and kind
Possibly as like vengeance for what happened to
of haunting and like killing all these millionaires, maybe that are affiliated with,
the
because
Justice League.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, in the Absolute Universe, the Justice League is comprised of all the people who are villains in the main universe, but they're all successful, rich. The government is on their side. They run essentially everything. They run the government from the shadows and whatnot, but they are considered the heroes, while the actual heroes are considered villains.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, because like, what if this version of Green Arrow, aka the Phantasm, was working their way up this chain of command of wealthy people to get to the Justice League?
Yeah, because they could be doing like if it
and
is...
it feels like that same eerie horror like slasher vibe that the Phantasm had too.
Right, because if they did go that way and it was like Black Canary or what have you, it could be like, oh, well, you guys killed the person I loved, so I'm going after you and making it difficult for you.
Right.
By the way, you do know what that thing on his chin is, right?
It's kind of like a silhouette of his beard.
Yeah, from the main universe, like how it always split. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen so many different theories because a lot of people don't think he's human. They think he's something else.
I think that's a little... I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I don't know what that would bring to the narrative that they're trying to accomplish.
I
for
think
it to be an alien.
My vote... No, not that. Not like he's an alien. Like he's like a specter or like a spirit of some kind.
I just feel like that's too grand for something like this.
But I don't know. Or like maybe if it was something kind of like how because the Spectre has like cosmic power. If he like made an agent of his own kind of thing.
Yeah, but I feel like he could, if he was trying to accomplish something like this Green Arrow is trying to accomplish, he could make it way easier than that. Like he could do he could just be like, let's F these people up.
True. Well,
like be
actually,
gone.
no, because if you think about it, this universe is controlled and run by Darkseid. Like Darkseid is like he's manifested into this universe.
Right.
So if he has that cosmic power, which could overthrow Spectre, maybe this Spectre is only so powerful that he can only manifest into kind of like a vigilante style, who is powerful enough to be resurrected and maybe immortal-ish enough to like go against these higher powers.
I could see that being flipped though. So instead of it being like this is the Spectre going into this universe in this way, like let's say they don't go with like the Phantasm thing that I think is really likely. They could make it to where this version of Green Arrow in this universe is being introduced in such a way that he gets to a through line point where he becomes the Spectre.
Right.
Like this universe's version of the Spectre. Yeah. Like it was something that Darkseid didn't foresee happening. And he was kind of like he's kind of like the one thing he didn't have control over.
Right.
And it was like like it was one of those things that are like destined to happen across universes, is that the Spectre would rise in some way, shape, or form. And in this universe would start from Green Arrow.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I I think I've seen too many opinions and too many theories to really settle on one.
Right. It's so new.
I think my vote and what I would like to see is something towards like this universe could only manifest something so niche when it comes to the Spectre that it was only powerful enough to make like an agent of vengeance that was like on human ground instead of something more cosmic. Because when Spectre was first introduced in the like early years, he wasn't like this cosmic being. He became that later on, but he started off kind of just like as a ghost.
Right.
So this wouldn't be too far off. It would just be a little bit more solid and physical. And
More grounded. Yeah.
so like I think it would just be interesting if it's this Oliver Queen, you know, so passionate and fueled with this idea of like making the world a better place because it's so cruel and messed up, to where when he died, the same thing that happened to the Spectre when he was human and died happened to Oliver, and it was just like, I have the power to like bring you back for vengeance. Make sure that these people pay.
Right.
I need to revisit the Spectre, but I don't know if it was like a deal that he made or if he kind of just like woke up again. But I think maybe because of Darkseid's presence, he would only be able to manifest so much. So it's like, this is all I can give you. Make sure you make it count. Kind of like a crow thing. Like you only have one shot. Make it count. That would be cool if they were kind of like rules like the crow. Oh man, I think this is going to be one of the cooler ones.
It's possible.
Why is it that everything but Batman seems cool in the Absolute Universe? I just watched the origin story on the Absolute Poison Ivy. Sick as shit. And then Batman makes an appearance. I'm like, oh my god. I don't like it.
For anyone who's interested or is maybe missing context on our opinion about the absolute DC universe, we have a whole video that runs on for a couple hours about it.
But like,
essentially,
it still stands till this day, despite all the things that have been introduced.
the consensus is that with the pitch that they were making about the absolute universe and what we wanted from, or what the whole point of these characters is like, oh, without this, they become this kind of thing. We were on board with Superman, especially Wonder Woman, now Green Arrow and Poison Ivy. But I mean, I even think Hawkman's sick.
They also introduced Reverse Flash.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what you'll think about that one though.
But regardless, when we talk about Batman, we discuss why we're not on board and we're not sold on the absolute version of Batman.
Yeah, and also that was...
And a quick fix of how we think it could work.
Yeah, it's like there's two different ways they could have gone about it that I think would have worked. Rather, one dimming down on the whole bulky Batman thing, and you could keep it to be Bruce, but make it more grounded to where it doesn't seem like he has all these like easy wins with his muscles, kind of thing. Or our opinion about making it Jason Todd, and then it literally clears up the whole.
Right. The two that I think we came down to though were, one was he's Jason Todd,
right?
Because it would just make a lot of this feel much more,
especially with how much he cusses. Like he says the F word a lot.
And then the other one we had was that in this universe, well, it was still... Oh, no, so that was the other one. But in our version of Jason Todd, how he gets all of the tech is that Bruce Wayne...
provides it.
Like, his parents survived, and this version of Bruce Wayne grew up to be very more cynical... version of that, still has a sense of justice because he wants like Gotham to run a specific way, but Batman does all of his dirty work, so he gives him the resources and the tech to be Batman.
Yeah. That, I think that works way better.
And it also makes it an interesting, like, he's a competitor against Joker.
And that would also clear for the stupid version of Alfred that they made.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. This version of Alfred sucks. Especially the fact that every time he makes an appearance, he's trying to make Batman do the opposite of what Alfred would make him do in the main universe.
Yeah.
Which is dumb. So, so I saw a panel of the Reverse Flash,
Okay.
and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I understand what they're going with, because I don't know if the issue is like completely out yet or what, but I have a theory. Are you looking it up?
I am.
Okay. Do you want me to wait until an image comes up for what I'm about to say make more sense? Because you might not even know you're looking at it.
I'm pretty sure I'm looking at it. He's a big red guy.
Yeah.
He looks like they just did it like at the end or in the beginning of Rebirth. The Flash had a villain that was like a blood.
Oh.
He was kind of like DC's Carnage, kind of.
Yeah. What was he called?
Yeah, he looks like a in between of that guy and Daniel West. Yeah, that version of.
What I'm guessing, just based off of the context that I've been given of this version of the Flash, first off, he is named Thawne, so I don't know if it's Eobard Thawne or if it's a different Thawne. I know
See, in this picture, he just looks like a big goblin, though.
Either way, so first off, it gives me the same vibe of the Ultimate Green Goblin, because in the main universe, Green Goblin is like on glider and everything, and then in the Ultimate universe, he's a big monster,
Right.
which is what this reminds me of. But the whole point of the Absolute Universe, aside from like the themes of the heroes themselves, is that Darkseid favors the villains. He gives them what the heroes had in the main universe, and they get every advantage possible.
Mm-hmm.
What I think, especially with my very little knowledge of what the Speed Force is, or whatever the replacement is in the universe, I think that this version of the Reverse Flash not only got whatever Wally West has, which I'm just going to call the Speed Force for now until I have a more understanding of what it is, with like a supercharge from Omega Energy. I think in this universe, like as soon as he kind of manifested in whatever way, Darkseid's favoritism kind of like boosted his Speed Force with Omega Energy, and he kind of just became this
That would make sense.
Speed Goblin.
All of the red kind of gives off the Omega Force or whatever.
Oh, and his eyebrows are like lightning bolts that like come off of his head.
I'm not crazy about the big, like it looks like depending on who's drawing him, he's rather a big goblin looking guy.
I've only seen one picture, so I haven't seen others.
Okay, so I'll show you. There's this version. Okay, so there's this version where I keep saying he's like a big goblin
I
guy,
haven't seen that one.
and then there's this one.
Oh, I haven't seen that one either. That one's sick.
I was saying, like, that's what I was gonna say. I think I like that look because that gives off very like like cosmic.
I wonder if I can find the one that I saw.
You probably saw. I think it's down here. This. No. But see, he looks like a big goblin right there.
Yeah. That's one of them that I saw.
I mean, that's the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
closer.
But it was a different panel. This one. That's the one that I saw.
Yeah, I don't really.
That's why.
Also, Wally West's suit's growing on me a lot.
Yeah, it is too for me. But it also really works with the story too, because I think that the Flash is one of them. I think my opinion shifted. I think maybe the last time we talked about the Absolute Universe, I think I maybe wasn't super on board with Wally West and everything. But after watching variant videos on it and, diving deep into some of what I can with this Flash, it's really interesting. It really works with the character that they're going for. And the whole story itself, which I think really works, is this version of the Speed Force is like it's not a manifestation. It's a representation of like teenage anxiety.
Yeah.
So like every time when Wally West talks about it, it's really unclear if he's talking about. It's almost like as if he's a teenager who's like on the run from his past,
Right.
who's talking about his anxiety, but on page it's manifesting as the Speed Force.
Right.
It's almost like as if he's having this big fever dream. I know that's not the case, but that's how he kind of talks about it. Like every time he talks about it, it's hard to see or hard to know if he's talking about the Speed Force or if he's talking about his anxiety.
Right.
But I think that's really interesting, and it makes him very relatable to some teenagers. But then they've also introduced other versions of his villains, like they introduced Heatwave,
Okay.
who in this universe, he's like this. He was a science experiment made by Thawne, the modern day Thawne. It's the woman who runs the Justice League and whatever. He's a science experiment who, like, his skin pores just manifest magma and lava. So he's like this big lava monster thing.
Okay.
And he goes after Wally, not on purpose, just because he's, controlled. But like Wally is trying to fight him and stop him, and he can't get close or anything. But then, like, listening to his moans and everything, it kind of sounds like he's like crying for help and whatnot. And Wally kind of puts him out of his misery and realizes that he's just an agent, like an unfortunate agent of chaos. And then you're also introduced to the rogues, who are really interesting. I don't like Boomerang much because
Oh yeah, I remembered them.
Captain Cold is kind of like this like leader.
Rick Flag-esque character.
Yeah, Boomerang, he's such a cheat because like they're all ex-military, like veterans who fell or injured in the military.
Yeah.
Like Golden Glider, she lost her legs in the military, so they gave her cybernetic legs. But Boomerang, he was a drone pilot, I think. And as a replacement, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna call you Captain Boomerang, and we're gonna give you this remote control boomerang that you don't need any skill with." Why didn't you just give that to like any soldier that you had?
Like a trained field agent or something.
Right? Like, what makes it like? If you're gonna bring this guy in for some specific reason, like maybe he doesn't care if he dies or something, give him something to where it's like, okay, well, if he doesn't require skill on a boomerang, then just give him something else.
Yeah, I remember not being crazy about the rogues or whatever.
Yeah, but Wally West himself is pretty cool. And then they introduced Barry Allen in a specific way, and I think they mentioned Jay Garrick. I just forgot how. But what is also really interesting is the whatever Speed Force thing Wally West has. He can't mentally tell sometimes if he's in the present time because he sees the past, present, and future all at once. So sometimes he gets lost on where he is physically.
Okay.
But he has an idea of what his future looks like, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure that that does not happen. Because he sees like one future where it's like, they make monuments of him and they make a museum off of him, kind of like in the main universe. And then they also see one where he's like the last survivor of a dead planet kind of thing.
Interesting. So we're kind of running up on an hour and a half here, I think. So I kind of want to, only because I've been doing it for a couple other episodes, I thought it would be fun to maybe go through like a list of interesting factoid things.
Okay.
But these ones are a little more nerdy. They're not so random.
Okay.
So I'll give you the choice between a couple. So we can rather quickly go through a list of longest cutscenes or gaming facts that sound like a lie. Bizarre gaming facts that sound like a lie. Arkham Asylum was almost a full rhythm action game.
Like as in like you had to play based on like the beat of something?
Right.
What the hell?
Which makes sense based on how the combat is constructed.
Yeah.
Like, especially even if you just like jam the attack button, it's very like boom, 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 boom,
But why
boom, boom.
Batman?
I don't know.
That's a weird
I just have the fact.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't think that sounds like a lie. I just think that's a good thing that they didn't do.
Axton, this is a Borderlands one. I don't know anything about Borderlands. Axton being bisexual in Borderlands 2 was a coding error that became canon in a DLC.
What? Sexuality made by a glitch?
The average gamer in the US is 36 years old.
That makes sense.
It's funny that it says that because like as we get older and we get older with like YouTube and stuff, and I see all of the like gamers and streamers and blah blah blah, like they're all in like their 30s now. It's like that feels right.
Yeah.
Because if you look at anyone younger, they're not really like super focused on like story, like narrative games. It's usually like a lot of live service, Fortnite,
They're just like
Roblox.
bandwagging stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting factoid there. The PSP outsold the Nintendo 3DS, which is crazy
Yeah, that is crazy.
because so many 3DSs exist out in the world.
yeah.
I wish it had a number, but it doesn't. The Game Awards gets more viewers than the Oscars, Grammys, and Emmys combined,
That's nuts.
which is, I think that's pretty spot on, especially like because of how much more niche. Like, I'm not saying that movies, shows, and music is niche, but the prestige conversation amongst them is more niche.
And engagement in gaming is different than movies and shows because like with a show, sure, you can watch it through like a period of time. A movie you could watch over and over again, but for the most part you watch one and done. While a game, you can invest as much time as you possibly can if you choose to.
Right.
You could like go in just for the story. You could go in for the story and the side stuff.
If it's live action, you can designate hundreds of hours.
Live action?
Oh, sorry. Live service.
Yeah, I was.
Sorry. Live service.
But yeah, so like if it's multiplayer based, then there's other things that you can do, and depending on the style of game,
Right.
the range is so much bigger.
Yeah.
So, and sure, you have different genres for movies and shows, but the consensus engagement rule that I brought up before remains the same.
It is crazy though, just that like the Game
The
Awards.
number is nuts.
And the Game Awards also not being that old. Like the Game Awards really got big when E3 was officially closed.
Right.
So we're talking about COVID time up until now, which is 6 years.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that the Grammys, Emmys, and Oscars have existed for way longer than that, and the Game Awards pulls those numbers is nuts.
Right.
The first video game ever was made in 1958, and the picture provided looks like it's the I've heard of this before. It's like the little, it's kind of like a sonar thing,
Okay.
and there's like it looks like they kind of, I'll put the picture up for them too, but it kind of looks like they code it differently to where like a little line is made in a platform.
So it's like the first thing that they could like engage and kind of like play.
Right.
Oh, interesting. 1958. That's nuts.
Also like really puts
Cause like,
I think it gives more credit to video games to know that they've existed that long.
like, can you think about what movies were like in 1958? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, because you always hear about like Pong,
Right.
but that was like the first commercial,
right. That's like the first official
like commercially available.
mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah. People could buy it. They didn't have to make it.
Yeah. So that's the last one I have here, but
I will say a thought that came up when you were bringing up like the generational difference between like current, like our generation of gamers and newer generation. I saw a video of a guy and he was talking about his process of introducing his young child to video games.
okay.
And I think it's perfect. I don't know if I would go to this extreme just because I'm lazy. But what he did was he bought he wanted his son to experience the evolution of gaming the same way he did.
Okay.
and his access to it. So he bought like an old school big box TV. I always referred to the joke from Grown Ups when the kids are like, "What's this big box attached to the TV?"
Oh,
he-
like behind the TV.
Right,
Yeah.
but he buys like an old fashioned TV. He buys like a Nintendo like 64. He buys like a PS1, and his kid can only play those games on that TV.
Right.
So he gets the really like, I don't want to say pixelated, but what is it that they use before LED?
Oh, CRT.
Right. So like that's how his son is now experiencing games, and that's how his exposure to games. And like obviously he's too young for social media or anything like that.
Right.
So as far as this kid knows, this is what video games are.
I've thought about that. Like if I were to ever have kids and if I wanted them to ever have a similar type of appreciation for like arts and video games especially, to essentially do the same thing. And similar to that dad's experience, I was thinking like it would be the games and consoles in order of my experience.
Right.
Like starting off with like a GameCube or a PS2 Slim and just maybe a handful of games and you know, enough to where like he has variety. He or she has variety, but also little enough to where if they ran out of games, they would have to learn like which games they enjoy and replay.
Right.
Because
And then based on whatever it is that he's playing over and over again, those are the kind of games that you could be like, oh, let's look for those games.
Yeah.
When
and
buying you new ones.
Because I think about this a lot of how like sometimes I get overwhelmed with the amount of games I just have in my backlog and I can't fixate on a game to play. When we were younger, any of the Arkham games, especially Asylum, I played back to back.
We were talking about the Ultimate Spider-Man recently when we played Ultimate Spider-Man. Repeat. As
Yeah.
much as we could, and even if we did or didn't finish the game, because you remember getting further into the game than I remember.
Yeah.
But what I remember is getting to a certain part of the game, not being able to get past it, restarting.
But that's the
hoping
thing.
that I'll
We
do
also
better.
didn't understand what saving, like how saving
Oh, yeah,
worked
we
in
never
old
saved the game.
consoles. So anytime we played. It was almost like a roguelike. We would try to get as far into the game as we could without using the.
That's kind of fun though.
And then you start back at when you next session, you're right back at the beginning, and you're like, oh, let's see how far into the game we can get.
That you know what's weird is so I restarted playing Spider-Man PS4,
Right.
the remastered, recently, and although I already had a game in progress when I booted it up, I was like, no, I want to start over, and I just started a new game.
Right.
And I realized I do that a lot. And like I was in the middle of playing the second Last of Us, but when I go back, am I gonna just continue where I left off, or am I gonna restart part 2 all over again?
Right. And I was like Halo. How many times did I play the campaign of Halo Reach because we didn't have online?
How many times did we play the campaign of Halo 3?
Or Dead Space 2?
Yeah,
Countless times.
countless.
Like,
Or the Wolverine game.
oh yeah.
We played that a few times.
Yeah.
We always got to a part where same thing with Ultimate Spider-Man. I think we always got to a part that we couldn't beat, but then what we did was we finally got to that part again, figured out how to save it, and then we brought it to our older brother Ronnie. And we're like, "Can you beat this part
Can you
for
do
us?"
this part for it? And then
And
he'd rage at the
He
game.
chucked the controller at the TV.
I'll never forget him playing Halo for the first time.
He was like, "I hate this game."
He's like, this motherfucker guy.
Oh, well, you know what? It was also his fault because we got to I think it's the last mission when you get to the Ark and the flood. It's snowing.
I think it was Halo Reach.
No, it was.
Did he play Halo 3?
I remember him playing Halo 3.
Rachel played Halo 3 with us a lot.
She did, and she had all the nerdy facts about Halo 3, which always astounded me.
It's so funny. She would never want to admit that now that she was a bigger Halo player than we were back in the day.
Her boyfriend at the time, they would talk about the voice actor and everything, and I'm like, looking back on that now, I'm like, you guys are nerds. But no, I distinctly remember Ronnie playing Halo 3. I remember how the living room looked and everything. We were playing the last mission to the Ark,
Okay.
and it's the part where it's snowing. The flood is like coming out of the Ark, and you're trying to make your way up the tower.
Yeah.
I remember Ronnie was like, "Oh yeah, but we're playing it on hard," because Ronnie refuses to play anything on normal or easy. He played it on hard, played that mission specifically, and then got mad at the game. It's like, well, no shit. You played one of the hardest missions in Halo 3 on hard.
Yeah, see, but I remember him playing... I distinctly remember him playing Halo Reach, and we got to... we got all the way up until the mission where Kat dies.
I don't remember that at all. No, I mean, I don't remember Ronnie playing. I don't remember Ronnie touching Halo Reach.
See, that's where I'm confused, because I don't remember him playing Halo 3.
I distinctly remember that day. Like it's something I oddly enough think about a lot is that day of whenever Ronnie talks crap about Xbox games, but he played Halo. I was totally going to say something. Oh, but we were talking about the generational thing with games. It's something that I currently do with shows that I expose Henry to. Because every single time I have him over, sure, I'll like let him watch the shows that I know he likes, like Mickey Mouse stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But if I think that I'm not going to be doing anything and I'm going to be sitting down and watching TV with him, I put on the shows that we grew up with, despite anyone's opinions on like what's appropriate for his age.
I mean, you guys were just watching Hercules.
Well, yeah, I've been kind of doing this montage of showing him like a lot of Disney movies that we grew up with.
The good Disney movies.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've also exposed him, and when me and his mom were still together, I exposed his older brother to things like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm going to be starting Ben 10 with Henry soon. I've shown Henry a couple episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog, but I've been very careful on which episodes that I've shown him.
See, those maybe he might be too young for.
Well, he's too young to understand the story of them.
Yeah, but Courage the Cowardly Dog could be a little spooky for a little kid.
But I've shown him clips of Ben 10 just to see like his reaction, and he gets so freaking excited when he sees forearms.
Well, yeah, but like
He's
Ben
like-
10, Ben 10's also a very... It's got like cool colors and interesting sound effects and
Right.
stuff. But Courage the Cowardly Dog is like dull.
No, I know.
It's quiet.
I'll probably wait a little longer to like really like binge watch.
The mummy comes out and he's like...
He was a mummy, was he? Anyways, but no, I have a list of shows that I want to show Henry to instead of showing him some of the newer stupid cartoons that they have going on.
Yeah.
I would say that the only modern show that I've exposed Henry to gladly is Amazing World of Gumball. Because that's like the best
Oh, yeah, he's not... Or
cartoon of this generation.
But see, the thing about those is because when you're a little kid who can't understand what's going on, Amazing World of Gumball, Danny Phantom, again,
Right.
they're fast paced. They've got cool colors and stuff like that.
But like I said, if it's something that I think I'm going to be sitting down to, I'd try to find something that we can both enjoy despite of age.
Right.
So like he sees like flashing colors and cool superheroes and stuff like that. I get to enjoy a show that I don't think is brain numbing.
By the way, he's wrapped in something. I don't know what he's supposed to be.
But
He's mummy-ish.
for the amount of times that even when we're not watching anything, when Henry...
King Ramses, he's a mummy.
Oh, got it. So my son has this habit of he'll just go around and go, "Suit power! Suit power!" And then I'm like, "Do you want to watch superheroes?" He loved The Incredibles. He was like,
yeah.
When it comes to any movie, like there are times when he kind of like, loses attention and he'll go do something else and then come back and watch it. Incredibles, he sat through the whole thing and just was like in awe of like, "Super power!"
I've noticed that he's drawn to scenes with like big scores. or so because you guys were watching Ratatouille the other day.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when he was like sitting there, like locked in, it was like during montage scenes or something, and there's like music playing.
He loves music.
Sometimes when characters are like talking to each other, they're like, it's like a 50-50 if he's in or not. But when you guys were watching Hercules and they were singing Zero to Hero, he's like,
no, he loves music. And despite whatever conversation you want to have about child development, when he was younger, and if he was like rather napping or if it was early in the morning and we were driving somewhere, I would always put on classical music.
Yeah.
Which he would always sleep to. He loves music. He dances to music a lot. There has been a couple times when I think he's trying to sing. It's more of just they're kind of just noises that every now and then might match up to what's happening.
He's harmonizing.
He loves Elvis.
Okay.
There's been a couple times when I've taken him to the park, and then on our way back, I'll put on like a music track or whatever, and I'll be like, hey, Spotify, play Elvis Presley. I hear Henry's feet like, going to the rhythm, and he loves Elvis. And then he'll like cheer. He loves it, especially some of the more like upbeat Elvis music ones. And then he'll fall asleep to the more the calmer ones.
Love songs and stuff like that.
Yeah. God, I love that kid. He's awesome.
Well, I think that's a nice note to go out on.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to say real quick before it's over
Okay.
The past couple months have kind of been rough worldwide.
Yeah.
Maybe longer than that, but there's been a lot of negativity going around on social media, politics, just the world in general, and it hasn't been like a happy place. A lot of people ask us why we don't talk about it much. We won't. I'm not saying we will. But it's things like this podcast, our channels, our interests. There's so much negativity going on. It's nice to sometimes distract yourself and to focus on the things that you do care about.
Yeah.
Things that you do love. We want this podcast to be something for the nerds to nerd out to. And if you're not a nerd and you want to join us, distract yourself from some of that negativity and focus on the things that you could think about. Like
escape a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to have these kind of conversations to just take yourself out from the world and separate from the things that you feel like you don't have control over.
Right.
This you do have control over. So if you need to, focus on these kind of things.
Yeah.
So I know it kind of sounds naive or like childish, but
yeah,
I think it's a good medium to just like separate yourself from cruel reality and hang out with us a little bit.
Yeah. So there goes that note that I was talking about going out on. But
I thought that was a nice note. I was thinking about that for a lot of the episode, and I thought it would be nice to end off on. I thought it was a nice note.
Well, speaking of sending us out, how about you do that really quick?
Oh, how do we do this? Oh, you can find us. Go check out my channel at Brandon, obviously on YouTube. Check out Aaron's channel. Aaron something, or his other channel, Aaron Plays Something.
Aaron's playing something.
Whatever. You can check us out on Spotify. Whether you're watching or listening, we're on both YouTube and Spotify. And yeah.
Leave a like and a comment here. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you're listening over at Spotify, or if you'd prefer to go over to Spotify, leaving a review or sharing it with your friends is the best way to help our channel grow over there. That's how we get new listeners. That's the best way for us to get new listeners. We're just two more guys starting another podcast and just rambling about things that we like. Because I don't have to sit there with a script in front of my face. And yeah. So with that being said, I've been your host, Aaron.
And I've been your host, Brandon.
And we will see you guys later.
Peace.